Okay, now I'm going to show you a basic way to handle logos. So the first thing when you look for your logo, the easiest way to do it is to find the logo that you want to use on a solid color. It can be white, can be black, can be blue, can be any color. Um, but let me just do a quick one here. I'm just going to open this file, and let me get in Photoshop and hit. Okay, just hit open. Go out here to my files folder and logos. I'm just going to get the Cheerios logo. Okay, so I just got this from images.google.com. Now, basically, this Cheerios logo is already a PNG. This checkerboard indicates that it's already got a transparent background, but I'm just going to add a layer. Now, you're not normally going to do this, but I'm just going to take this layer and put below. I'm just going to fill this layer with white. Okay, and then I'm just going to merge these two layers together. Okay, so it's just making one layer. Okay, so this is what you would normally get, is you get your logo on a plain white background. Okay, so the reason you do this is because it's easy to select the color of the white or whatever color it is in the background, and then separate it from the layers. So what we're going to do here is go to our fourth tool down and click and hold. This is the magic wand tool. You want to set the tolerance at about 32. That's where the normal default is. If somebody's adjusted it, you might need to set that back to 32. Now what we're going to do is click on the white back here. Just click and see how it selects everything, but it doesn't quite get everything because there's some of these little shadow areas, and also inside the letters it didn't pick. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, and notice when I pull down shift, see how it changes to a plus there. So then I'm going to click these little areas in here. Okay, and then here to get this little shadow area. I don't want it. I'm going to undo that last one because I don't want to select into the letter. Okay, I'm going to click inside this one. Okay, and then inside this one. Notice how I'm getting the shadow there inside the O. Click the little shadowy part. Okay, and then inside this O and the little shadowy part. Okay, so that's pretty good. There's not exactly perfect here. I'm gonna hold down the Alt key, see how it changes to a minus with Alt. It's Option on the Mac. I'm gonna deselect that little piece there. Okay, so this is essentially what we have going on here. There's a little tiny bit, so I'm gonna hold down the Shift key again and get the little piece of the O here. So that's pretty good selection. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So I'm just cleaning it up here just a little bit. Okay. These little pieces. Okay, so now that that's all selected, I've got everything selected but the letters. Okay, so I'm just going to hit delete on the keyboard to get rid of the background, and you'll see we're back to this clear background here, and then we can hit Command D to deselect. Okay, and so this is now on our transparent background. So now if we bring this into Premiere, we're going to save it out as a Photoshop file. So File, Save As. We're just saving it as a Photoshop file because Premiere will read that as having transparency. Photoshop files have transparency. You could also save it as a PNG. PNGs also have transparency. So if it's already a PNG, you can leave it as that. But if it's a JPEG, you probably want to change it to a PNG or just save it as a Photoshop file. And go ahead and hit Save. Okay, this compatibility thing, once you don't show it again because you always want it to be compatible, so you say okay. So I'm just going to launch Premiere here real quick and just show you. Okay, and while that's launching, I'm going to go ahead and import the other file. So I'm going to go click on this and go back and open up the other file. That's the Walmart file. Okay, and this is the Walmart JPEG. And just open that, and now you see I could probably do the same thing here to just select the background, but the background is a gradient. It's got some darker blues to the lighter color blues, which might make it a little bit hard to select. See how it made a weird selection? It still mostly got the selected all the blue without selecting the letters. It's pretty good, and you might could get away with that, but that's probably not what we want to do. Okay, so we're going to deselect, which is Command D for deselect. So I'm still on the magic wand tool. I'm just going to select this first white letter, and then I'm going to tell it to select similar. It will select all the similar colors, which is all the white ones, of course. And then these I have to do individually. So again, I'm going to hold down the shift key. See how that adds the plus? That means it's adding to the selection. And just click on each one of these. I don't need the little R symbol here, so I'm going to leave that out. And just click on each one of those, and then let go of the shift key. And then to put this on its own separate layer, I'm just going to go Layer, New, via Copy. So it's going to make a copy of what we selected and put it on its own layer. So just do that, and you'll see it makes a layer here. If I turn off the visibility of the background layer, you see these are here by themselves. Now, what the problem is it's not very visible. So what we're going to do is on this layer, let's just go ahead and click this background layer so we don't get confused, and just drag it in the trash can here, just delete it. But to make this more visible, and when we do this and save it as a Photoshop file, it will also show up in Premiere the correct way. So we got to be on this layer, and let's go up to Layer, Layer Style, and we're going to add a drop shadow. Okay, let me just move this out of the way so you can see what we're doing. I'm going to set the angle to be 135. It just makes it go down and to the right. That's just because I like it that way. I want the opacity to be 100%. Okay, put the distance out a little bit from 3, so don't make it be too much because it looks weird. I'm setting it at 10. The spread is kind of the fatness of it, and it's a little bit fuzzy on the edges, but I'm going to put it down. Well, I've got it at 15, and I kind of like that, but you just kind of do it to whatever looks good. Don't make a big fat chunky thing like that. That looks a little weird. So, but that's already cranked up all the way to like 50, so I'm just going to leave it at 15. That looks kind of neatly done. And then the size, do not do this and make this cloud of black around your logo. That's just super unprofessional. Don't even go there. If you do that, I'm going to take off points. Okay, so just leave this around 10 also. This is like the softness of your shadow. This is the opacity or the transparency of the shadow. This is like see-through, so you have to kind of see-through, but when you do that, you can't see it that much, so let's just leave it at 100 for now. Okay, and once you get it looking good, just say okay. Now, you don't need this entire thing. I mean, you could use it like this, but if you just go to the crop tool, which is the 5th tool down, when you click it, you get these controls, and you can just kind of, you don't have to be precise and cut it down to the absolute minimum, but it kind of helps if you just don't have this big chunky thing that you're trying to use. And then once you get it like this, you can hit the check, or you just hit enter on your keyboard, and it'll cut it down to this. Now we're going to save this as either a PNG or as a Photoshop file. We saved the last one as a Photoshop file, so we'll save this one as a PNG. We'll save it as a PNG file, which also has transparency. And we save. And large file, fastest saving, that's fine. That's also the highest quality. Okay, so now we're done with Photoshop. So we've fixed our logo, ready to go. So I'm not going to save that because I'm not saving the changes to the PNG. I'm going to go here to Premiere that I opened just a second ago, and I'll just call it. Well, I think I could just use this reframing shots that I did the other tutorial on. Okay, because there's already some footage there. Okay, so. Alright, let's just use this footage here. Okay, so I don't really need the title safe here, but this is just turned on here. If it's not showing up there, you can hit the plus and drag it down from the button editor. Just drag it down and say OK. This just tells you to keep the logos or whatever you're doing inside here. So let's say that we're going to put the Cheerios logo here. So I'm going to just delete this off of here so it's not confusing. Okay. So we just have this shot of the woman here. It's just a still, but that doesn't matter. It could be video. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come over and import. So So we're gonna import. We're just gonna open. Actually, we just do it open. Well, let's do import. So we're gonna import, and we go out to our files and to our logos folder where we saved everything, and we're gonna import the Cheerios PSD file. Now, since Premiere is gonna recognize this as a PSD, and it only has the one layer, but it's still going to ask you what to do with the layers. So we're going to merge all the layers. There's only one layer. So when we say OK, and this will come in, and then all we got to do is drop it on the track above. Okay, and you'll see there it is. Okay, now we didn't do a perfect job of selection, so there's some little extra garbage around here. We can clean that up if we really wanted to. But then all you have to do is come over here, go in your effects controls, and then scale it down. Okay, and if you click on the word motion, you can actually just put it where you want to put it. You can also scale it using the mouse, which makes it easy. And if you want to, you can come here and go to your effects. And I think if you just type the word drop, you get a drop shadow effect, and you can drop that on here. Okay, and then using the drop shadow effect on this, you can add it. Now, we could have done this inside of Photoshop before, but let's make the opacity be 100%, and we'll make the distance be just a little more off of here like this, and let's soften it up just a little so it's not such a hard shadow. Okay, and that looks pretty okay. Okay, maybe going to dial back the opacity just a little bit so it's not quite so hard. Okay, and we can say no shadow with shadow, no shadow with shadow. That's up to you whether you like it looks better, if it really stands out or not. Okay, so that's how you would put in your logo here, and then you could type in the text for your available at Publix. Okay, and then go back on my text here and just get my move tool. I can shrink this down a little bit. Put this here. And then since this is a text, it has its own, shadow. So let's just turn on the shadow here. Get a little shadow action happening. And again, we got it going down to the right, which is 135. Let's make it be 100% opaque. Okay, so there we go. If I think it might look better, let's put a little stroke on it to just harden up the edges here. And let's crank the stroke up to about 4. 4 is a little much. Let's say 3. Okay, so then maybe even 2. So it's not quite so hard. And maybe make it a little smaller, since we're getting all artistic here. Okay, so now we've met all the criteria. Okay, so now if we wanted to do, I'll move this over for some bizarre reason. So, all right, so that's fine. So this is where we're at. Okay, so this is the background. Here's the Cheerios logo, and here's the text we built. There's 3 separate layers there. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to delete this off of here, and we're going to bring in our other logo here. So I'm going to go back to my project file. We're going to import the PNG file we did, which is the Walmart PNG. Now it already has transparency, so we just drag it on top just like we did the other one. There it is. Of course, you click on here, go to your effects controls, and you can scale it. Again, if you click on the word motion, you can then put it anywhere you want. You can scale it again, make it be, whatever proper. Now, we already created the drop shadow and everything in Photoshop, and you see it really looks better if you do that. So if there's any prep work that you need to do to the logo, including adding a drop shadow, it's probably better to do it inside of Photoshop before you import it in here. And you see also saving it as a PNG file is a little less complicated because it doesn't ask you about layers when you try to import it. Okay, so just something to keep in mind, and that's it.